To really understand the importance of the music in a film, you should compare final cuts of movies with the intended film score and cuts with removed or edited music. The famous Psycho shower scene is so much less frightening without its score. My favorite example to show the importance of music in a film is the altering of this scene in the Pirates of the Caribbean. Depending on the music, the scene can become triumphant, creepy, or comical. Using music to psychologically alter a scene has been around since the silent era. Silent movies used to be accompanied with a live piano player who would play along with the movie. At first, the music didn't interact with the movie at all and was only there to avoid silence in the theater, but later piano players would either improvise along with the movie or receive sheet music to play along with. The psychology of the accompaniment was pretty straightforward. When the screen shows a villain, the piano player plays a diminished minor chord which sounds eerie and unnerving. Heroes get uplifting anthems, chase scenes have a fast tempo, and sad scenes are slow and somber. These early psychological musical techniques set the standard for film scores in modern cinema, and while the orchestras have gotten bigger and the scores more effective, the general ideas of silent film piano accompaniment have remained the same. The shower scene in Psycho is a perfect example of the psychology of music in film. In the scene, Marion Crane gets stabbed to death in the shower, and the scene features one of the most effective film scores in history. The screeching sound of the violin mimics sounds we biologically associate with stress and danger. The sound mimics cry for help. In Jaws, we hear the music before we see any danger. This technique unsettles us in a different way. The anticipation of the danger is what makes each scene so scary. The fact that we know something bad is about to happen and the characters in the movie don't know adds suspense to the scene. We are warned of the danger through the film score and have no choice but to watch the horror unfold. As the music slowly speeds up, so does the camera, and we feel psychological terror from the disorder of the music and the anticipation of the inevitable. The majority of film scores, though, purposefully stay in the background and only provide subtle cues to the audience. Film score pioneer Aaron Copland gave 5 ways a score serves the screen, and most of them stay in the background. The first is to create a more convincing atmosphere of time or place. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Many genres and settings have their own style of music to go with it. The style of the film score puts us into a particular setting or genre. A classic example would be the Western, which has a very distinct sound. So when Bill and Ted go back in time to the West, the music changes along with them.
How's it going, Old West dude? Hey, Bill, this is just like Frontierland. Yeah.
Second, music can underline psychological refinements. Unspoken thoughts or unseen dangers get shown or reinforced through the music. We may not see the danger, but the music reminds us it's there.
Listen to me. We've Trace the call. It's coming from inside the house. Our squad car's on the way over there right now. Just get out of that house.
You're not a cotton-headed ninny-muggins. You're just special.
That's weird.
Yesterday, I went food shopping for like 15 minutes. I used the computer before I went to the store. And when I came back, my history was gone, the cache was cleared, and the cookies had been reset.
Third is to build a sense of continuity. If the music between shots or scenes is the same, we relate those scenes to each other. This includes montages or flashbacks. Citizen Kane uses musical cues as an indicator of a flashback.
He was with Mr. Kane and me the first day Mr. Kane took over the Inquirer.
In Catch Me If You Can, the music is a cue that the chase is on. Fourth is to give a sense of finality. Copland notes that this takes place usually at the end of the film or after some major triumph. The triumphant sound of the music psychologically links us to the triumph on screen. And finally, Copland says sometimes music is just there to fill the silence. Interestingly, he states that this is the hardest film score to do because the audience shouldn't notice it.
A new holiday that recognizes that. May 21st. Other Mother's Day. Thank you.
Let's get her, boys!
In A Clockwork Orange, Kubrick has uplifting orchestra music play while extreme acts of violence occur on screen. The contradiction between comforting classical music and destruction adds tension and unease to the scene. Film scores enhance the emotion of a scene, but sometimes directors choose to not use any music, and this can work just as well. In No Country for Old Men, the vast majority of the movie has no music, but mostly dialogue and ambient noise, and it totally works. Hearing nothing but a man struggle for his life is pretty menacing. The storming of the beach scene in Saving Private Ryan overwhelms the senses with the sounds of gunshots, explosions, and cries for help instead of a film score. Our brains often subconsciously react differently to a visual given the music playing behind it. I think it's really interesting because of how subtle film scores can be and yet how vital they are to a movie. The psychology of music is one of the most important cinematic techniques in film. The emotional and thematic potential of these techniques is limitless, and I've only scratched the surface. So take your favorite film, watch it again, and pay close attention to the music and how it enhanced the film, maybe without you even noticing. How does that sound?
Some film critics believe that you can oftentimes glance at a movie's color treatment and instantly tell its genre. Warm red tones for romances, desaturated colors for apocalyptic films, blue, cold tones for horrors, fluorescent greens for sci-fi, yellow tones for film based in the desert, saturated, vibrant red tones for comedies. Now that you understand the basics of color grading and some of its more common uses, you can try for yourself using a variety of easy-to-use apps, such as the iOS app VideoGrade. We decided to test out these color grading theories with some of our own footage. We picked a shot and gave it different treatments to explore how much we could change the mood of the scene. You be the judge. course, it's not as important to know how to manipulate color as it is to know how color can manipulate you.
Hi, this is JP Morgan, and today in the Slanted Lens, we're going to take a look at camera movement, the emotion that different camera movements can create for the viewer. I've got Will Rubio here with me today. He's a great gangster, he's got a great look, so we're going to see if we can shoot up the town just a little bit.
Yeah, you'll never catch me, copper.
Is that good? Let's get started and see what we can do. Yeah, that's good look. A crane shot moving down moves you into the story or the scene. There's a feeling of falling into the character's world, of being dropped into the scene. When the camera moves from a shot of our actor into a wide vista shot on a crane, it gives us a feeling of how small the character is or how large this obstacle is that he or she has to overcome. When the camera moves from a very high shot to a very low shot, this makes the character look strong and opposing and creates a lot of fear. It gives us a feeling of authority. Handheld camera movement can create a feeling of uneasiness or danger. It needs to be a bit shaky and unsettling, but it makes it feel very strange and dangerous. A quick pan can change the emotional direction of a scene almost at once. We reveal something dangerous or something that the character is going to have to overcome, and it sends the audience in a totally different emotional direction. A quick push-in with the camera creates a feeling of surprise or shock. A slow camera dolly in can create tension and helps us become a little more intimate with the character. This can be intimate in a way that it makes us feel uncomfortable for them, or intimate in a way that helps us share the emotion that they're facing at that moment. Slowly dollying away from a character can leave them looking emotionally lost and abandoned. A dolly across reveals action or changes the emotional direction of a scene. If the man in this scene was pointing his gun at a gopher, it's a much different emotional change than pointing the gun at a gangster. So it reveals something that changes the emotion. A smooth glide cam shot between two men holding guns creates more of a ballet or a dance feeling. It's going to feel epic, it's going to feel kind of dreamlike. It creates an emotion that's much different than if you go after something with more of an edgy kind of handheld camera. So here's that same scene with a handheld camera. This does feel edgy, it feels stressful, it has a much different sense than when we have that kind of smooth glide cam. This is more like Born Identity, where they're pushing the emotion right into your face. This glide cam, as it comes in and sweeps around the actor in a full 360, it gives you a very interesting kind of calm before the storm feeling, like there's a survey of the situation. Something's coming, something's about to happen. Unfortunately, our equipment was in the way, so you didn't get a clean 360, but that's the sense of that emotion. This is a really cool move, I think. A Zolly is just interesting looking. It's a zoom with a dolly shot at the same time, so it's called a Zolly. The background gets larger or smaller, but the person remains about the same size. You know, a Zolly creates an overwhelming emotional feeling, like it's almost an out-of-body experience, like it's blowing their mind what's about to happen or what is happening.